It's true that running can cause musculoskeletal injuries, but at the same time, they prevent so much other problematic. You know, all the science of stretching are from 2000, maximum 2005, 10. After that, we have nothing. So 80% of the cause of injuries is the too much too soon. Okay, it's the bad mechanical stress quantification. All the study looking for strengthening a specific muscle to prevent a specific pathology doesn't seem to work so much. When I say too much, it's too much in a volume, in intensity, in D plus, but it's not too much in frequency. Because the first thing I will tell to someone if he want to prevent injuries is to run every day.
Hey everyone, Mathieu here, and welcome to another episode of Everyday Heroes. Today is going to be a special episode as I'm not interviewing an athlete. I have the chance today to talk to Blaise Dubois, a world-renowned physiotherapist. He's running a clinic in Montreal that is specialized into treating and preventing running injuries. As a reminder, across all the scientific studies, we know that more than 50% of runners get injured on average every year. So it's a highly interesting subject that is of concern of everyone, including myself, which is why I'm super excited to talk to him today. Blaise, hello.
Hello. Bonjour,
How are you
Mathieu.
doing?
Very good. And just to correct you, I'm not in Montreal, and I am in Quebec City. It's
Yeah, sorry.
two hours to the west, and I have 15 clinics in the area, so we have a lot of people working together to treat injured runners.
Okay, well, my bad. I didn't know that you were this big already, 15 clinics. Blaise, for the people that do not know you, can you introduce yourself a little bit more, please?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Switzerland, immigrated in Canada, in Quebec City, Lac Saint-Jean, when I was 10 years old. I become a physiotherapist at Laval University at the medicine faculties. And I was passionate with running since I have 14 years old. And I developed an expertise as a physio for treating runners. I start to teach courses for runners, to health professional, to give a lecture and a different thing. I write a book. And in the French community, we are teaching a lot of course. And I developed the running clinic in 2008, and the running clinic today, it's 82 people around the world teaching in 18 countries around the world. So the best practice about running injury prevention.
Okay, well, impressive. Thank you. Blaise, a lot of people around me are afraid of running or getting into running because there are a lot of injuries out there. What can you say to those people?
I will say that it's true that half of the runners are injured every year. But at the same time, it's always because the same reason. It's a bad mechanical stress quantification. The load management is not good. We need to do better. And if we do that well, we can decrease the risk of injuries to less than 20%. The thing
Okay.
is that it's true that running can cause musculoskeletal injuries, but at the same time, they prevent so much other problematic. And when I say problem is like different pathologies, like we can decrease up to 60% breast cancer. We can
With
decrease
running.
by,
Wow.
just by running every day, the good amount, you can decrease by a huge amount every pathologies of the modern man and woman. I will say 35% for all the cardiovascular problem, disease. I will say you can decrease up to 60% for diabetes type 2. You can decrease Alzheimer. You can decrease osteoarthritis. You can decrease osteoporosis. You can decrease a lot of the pathology we know today. So if we take this small pill that is running every day, the good amount means I have minimum like 30 minutes a day where I'm out of breath and I'm sweating. If you do that, you decrease by a huge amount all the pathology, the morbidity you can have, and you decrease your risk of death by 27%.
Okay,
So there is a lot more advantage than disadvantage.
so I guess the real risk, the real injury is being sedentary in the end, right?
Oh, for sure. We
If you think
kills a
about it.
lot more people. We kills a lot more people by being sedentary than by running. Like the risk of like dying during a marathon is like 1 out of 200,000. Sorry. So 1 out of 200,000 death in marathon with people that are not really in shape but decide to do a marathon. So it's true that we need to be careful with the progression, with many things, but running every day is the best way to be healthy and to not dying in the next year.
Okay. How do you get injured? Because you said it's in the end too much mechanical stress, because I think there are a lot of misbelief on how do you really get injured. So what can you tell about it?
It's really too soon, too much. Okay, too much, too soon is the key thing. Is the bad mechanical stress quantification means that your body is not well adapted to the stress you apply on it. Means that if you're gradual, your body is not like a car. It's not like the tire you will wear. It's a healthy life structure that will adapt. If you create a stress on your body, example in your cartilage at the knee, because you run, you impact the ground, and you have a certain level of stress in your knee, um, this stress will create adaptation. So you create degeneration followed by adaptation, by regeneration, and this is called adaptation. And adaptation means that if you run every day, your cartilage will become stronger. Your muscle, your tendon, your bone will become stronger. And for this reason, we actually have a lot of interesting studies showing that running is not bad for knee. It's better for your knee. You
Mm.
will have cartilage stronger. Prospectively, if we follow runners, we know that their cartilage are thicker, stronger, more healthy. The body need to be stimulated. The body need to be stimulated to be sure that he create adaptation and he becomes stronger, more robust.
Okay, so in the end, the more you run, the stronger you get.
Certainly. And when we say stronger, is not just the muscle, is all your tissue.
Cartilage, the joint. Okay.
Exactly.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
I said earlier that people have a lot of misbelief about how we get injured, because I've seen a lot often that people think you get injured with bad running shoes, with bad techniques such as a stride. What do you think about it?
So 80% of the cause of injuries is the too much too soon. Okay. It's the bad mechanical stress quantification. There is a 20% that is related to maybe biomechanics, weakness, stiffness, maybe running shoes. And when we say running shoes, it's not the running shoes itself, it's the running shoes causing not the best biomechanic to protect your body. Because one of the things with the shoes is that the shoes can decrease the impact moderating behavior you develop when you run, means that you can run softly, naturally, and big bulky shoes are tendency to annihilate, like take off all the good stimulus of your foot to know how to land and how to absorb the shock. And because you have this interference between the foot and the ground, you will pound the ground a lot harder. And that can be one of the cause of injuries. But 80% of the cause, it's the too much too soon. You run too much for a body that is not adapted.
Okay.
And when I say too much, I want to precise something. When I
Mm.
say too much, it's too much in a volume, in intensity, in D plus, D minus, denivellation, okay? But it's not too much in frequency. Because the first thing I will tell to someone if he want to prevent injuries is to run every day.
Okay. Yeah, because I think this is something to clarify, that when we are talking about mechanical stress, this can be defined by the volume, meaning the number of kilometers, how much you run, but not the frequency, because you can run little every day, which is fine, but as to opposite too much, like a very long session only during a day. So the volume, the intensity that you put, which is essentially the speed, the faster you run, the more mechanical stress you apply to your joints
Yeah.
and tendons. And as you said, the elevation, because if you run uphill or downhill, this actually causing more injuries to my understanding.
Yeah.
This is super hard on the tendons, so you need to be careful with this and be very progressive.
Exactly. Fully agree with what you said. I will say that in general, volume is the cause number one of injuries for most of runners because they don't do speed. They just accumulate too much volume. They are not adapted. They run more and more and more, and at a certain point, they have an injuries. But when we speak with good athletes that run more often and they are competing, those people make interval training. They go faster 2 times in a week, and most of the time. And those people are more prone to be injured by the speed than the volume. Okay.
Okay.
When you speak about the hill, going uphill will load specific tissue like the Achilles tendon, but will decrease the impact force. When you go downhill, you will increase the load on specific tissue like the kneecap, the quads, and you will be more prone to develop specific injuries by going downhill, like the IT band syndrome, the tenosynovitis of the tibialis anterior, PFP, like patellofemoral pain,
Mhm.
etc., etc. So yes, most of people are injured by going down more than by going
Okay.
up for
Yeah.
different reasons.
Yeah, I had this is how I almost got injured in May, because I went on a ultra trail, and when I went at the end of the ultra going downhill, I had a lot of pain and I pretty much had to walk the rest of the trail. So yeah, I can definitely relate.
Yeah.
Blaise, how can we how can we tell that we are under too much mechanical stress? Because this is not happening like on the instant. It takes a bit of time until the body will process what is happening to you.
Yeah.
So how can we tell that, all right, we are overtrained and I need to be careful?
Yeah. So the mechanical stress quantification is a concept where you are looking for how do you react to an amount of level of stress. Means I'm running 5K and I feel great. So it's probable that tomorrow, if I run another 5K, I will feel great because I didn't have pain in the past when I was running 5. And sometimes you can have like cumulate volume day after day, but in general, you know where is your red line, you know where is your limit, and you know that okay, 5K, I run 5K many times in the last months, and it was very fine. I know that 2, 3, 4K it's very good, but I never test the 6, 7, 8. So the mechanical stress quantification is to be conscious that you need to progress gradually first. And when you increase, you will increase at maybe 6K. And you will say, okay, I will test today 6K and I will look how I feel. And if you feel good, and you feel good not just during your activity, but you feel good the rest of the day and 24 and 48 hours after, you're okay. Means that your body was able to tolerate this limit of 6K. So you say, okay, I will try 7K. And you try 7K and 8, and maybe at 9, you will say, okay, at 9, the day after, I wake up the morning with my tendon, my Achilles tendon that was more stiff. And I was knowing at this time that it was my probably limit. So I need to take maybe 1 days off and come back to 8 and stay to 8 the time my body will adapt and become stronger and more robust to be sure I can increase after that my volume.
Okay,
And
so
it's a very simple concept. It's really like listen your body. And when you say listen your body, you need to listen the pain during, the pain after, the morning stiffness, and all the other sign you can have, like sweating and swelling, etc.
Mhm.
And that's the guide. And at the same time, if you go up um, like 5 stair by 5 stair, it's maybe dangerous. If you go one by one and you have an injuries, it's not a big deal. You come back a little bit at the back and you start to go up after. So
okay.
you need first your progression very slowly. Second, listen your body and having the good answer to know that you can continue to progress.
Okay, so progressive overload, so adding a little bit more volume compared to the week before. Um, we are we know like all around that there is this rule, 10% rule, so not more than 10% compared to the previous week. What do you
Yeah.
think about this rule?
It's coming from Anderson in 1977. Okay, giving an expert opinion about this 10% rule. I find this probably pretty good for most of my clients. Okay, but since Anderson, there is a lot of study speaking about this 10% rules. Why not 9 and 8 and 15 and 14? Uh, it please to mind that 10 is something safe. But since like a couple of years, we have different study that try to look with this number and say, okay, if we increase 10% per week versus we have like variation like 5, 15, 10, 20, what's happened? And we know that at a certain point, the risk of injuries increase. If you increase like by 20, 25% every week, for sure you will be injured at a certain point, for sure. The problem with the 10% is that when you have someone that is used to run 100K a week, I will take someone that run a lot, okay? And he was injured, so he say, okay, I need to start gently. And he say, okay, I will do 20K the first week. And you say, okay, since now you can just increase by 10%. So it will increase at 22 and
Yeah,
25.
it's gonna take forever until he goes back to
Yeah,
yeah.
it's impossible.
Mm.
So what's happened with this case, we will say, okay, at the beginning, it's maybe 50%, 40%, 30%, 20%. And when you arrive at maybe 70, 80% of your volume you were running normally, maybe we can play around 10. The other thing is that the one that run 100K per week since long time is a marathoner. He run often. He run 100 per week. This person cannot run in the next 4 months 110, 120, 140, 30, and 40. You need to be a lot slower. So
Mm.
sometimes is not enough, sometimes is too much.
Yeah.
For my recreational runners, it's a guide that I can use to be sure that they are grossly in the good zone.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very easy to remember rule of thumb. It's safe for most of the people, but it has to be individualized. We are all different,
Yes.
and there are exceptions. So yeah, definitely. And what about the deload week? Because this is what I like to do with when I coach people. Is again individualized, but a good rule of thumb that work for most of the people is after 3 weeks of training, I
Yeah.
place a deload week where I reduce the intensity and the volume in order to give the body the
Yeah.
time to super compensate and also the time to heal the minor pain if there is.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
It's a concept, and I will challenge you a little bit on this concept because I think it's a very good concept about physiology. When you say overcompensate is good, is right. You overload the physiology, you're tired, and you take weeks off, and after that you can do better. Okay,
Mhm.
but for the musculoskeletal condition structure, uh, deloading If you were not injured, you was not injured, and you feel great and all is good, decrease the load is not necessarily a good idea. And it's the same thing for the off season. Some people train a lot and take an off season of 4 weeks where they do nothing. And I think it's bad because when they start, they will need like 1 to 2 months to come back to the same level. So my recommendation is that you can deload the physiology, but you need to stay loaded mechanically. When I stay
Yeah,
loaded, it means that you can maybe say, okay, you were running 100K per week. Now it's a small week. We will run 50, 60K, no more.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
recovery.
That's
Okay.
that's
We-
exactly what I'm saying. I'm not saying that every 3 weeks I say to the people do not run. I say
Yeah.
run less. So basically, I
Yes.
I I decrease the volume a little bit, the intensity. I kind of try to keep the intensity, but uh, decrease the
Yeah.
volume by around 30%. But I do not say do not run. It's
Yeah.
just to have a little bit of time to take it easy before going back.
Yeah. So often people decrease by maybe 30, 40% the maximum volume. And that's for me can be okay. But if you want to go under 50% of decreasing volume, like you say, okay, normally you run 100 and this week is a very small week to 40K, I will recommend to you to say, okay, that's good physiologically, but mechanically, maybe it's a good idea to increase the mechanical stress to
How do you
load
do?
a little bit more your body, but not your physiology. Means you do 5 minutes of skipping every day. That's very stressful for your structure distally. You increase maybe the load you apply with your weight training. So when you go in the gym, you can maybe increase a little bit the number of rep or the number of series, just to increase the load on your tissue. Because again, when you go up and down physiologically, mechanically for your tissue, the best is to not to go too high when you go up and not to go too low when you go down, and try to stay very
Okay.
consecutive. Every week's must seems to be the same.
Okay, very very interesting. Speaking of going to the gym, there are a lot of people that are saying that lifting weight prevent injuries. What do you think of it?
All the study looking for strengthening a specific muscle to prevent a specific pathology. Like, um, I want to strengthen my glutes to prevent knee problem. Okay, doesn't seems to work so much. We have studied that working foot muscles, like being more barefoot, maybe can help to prevent some injuries. Um, but I think that strengthening can prevent injuries by another way. When you strengthen, you become more robust. You stress your tendon, your cartilage, all your tissue that create adaptation that become more robust and tolerant to the stress. And that means that it will give you tools to be able to do more running or more something without being injured.
Okay, okay, okay.
But it's
And
not,
yeah,
I will precise, it's not because you improve the alignment of your knee, it's not because you improve the timing of contraction of a specific muscle. It's just because you do something that make you more strong, robust.
okay, because from what I've read is lifting weights, as in going to the gym and doing the kind of standard exercise as squat, deadlifting, and so on, do not really prevent injuries per se compared to uh, how do you say physio? No, it's not physio. There is another type of exercise that is not lifting weights. Ah, I
Just
have a blank.
body weight.
Yeah, it's a plyometry. Do you
Okay.
say
Yeah, yeah.
plyometry? Yeah,
Plyo. Yeah.
yeah, plyometry. However, lifting especially heavy weights promotes running economy, which is
Yeah.
basically you spend less energy to to maintain the same pace. Um,
Yeah.
what kind of exercises can we do in order to a prevent injury, because apparently I was not that right on this. B, to promote running economy. Because I
So
guess those are two different things, right?
yeah, before speaking about running economy, let's speak about the injury prevention just to finish this part, okay?
Okay.
You speak about deadlift. Deadlift is zero functional for running. Okay, you bend forward, you never go there when you run with your muscle. I can run 100K per week. I do one set of 10 reps of deadlift, and I will be sore in my glutes and the higher part of my hamstring for 1 week. Okay, 10 reps. I can kill me with that, but I run every day. So means that this muscle, the way they work during the exercise, is absolutely not working when you run. So means that you don't need it. So if you do deadlift to prevent injuries, I'm not sure it's a good idea. If you want to prevent injuries, it's a lot better to do something that are a little bit more functional, and the robustness you want to develop is in a specific movement like running. So if you do skipping, by example, I think that can be an interesting thing. If you go up and down on your calf, or you do squat like lunge, I think that's mimic a lot more the movement of the running. But if you do deadlift, it's very good for lifting weights, for your health in general, but it's not good to prevent running injuries. Now, if we speak about the running economy, you're right. There is some study showing that strength training, weight training with a lot of load, or plyometric training can both improve running economy. Means it costs you less energy to move from a point A to a point B. So because that, you will run faster with the same engine, the same VO2 max, because you are more economical when you move on. The thing is that both are working. Weight, the heavy load seems to be more consistent than plyometric. Plyometric have more variabilities, like the answer we have. Lot of load seems to be the best one for high-level athletes, but plyometric suck can be very good for a beginner. And the other thing is that all the study, and there is systematic review, there is a lot of study on that, are made on Caucasian, European, North American. And when I go in Kenya, because every year I go in Iten in Kenya for training camp, and
Yeah, they
when
don't
I
do any of those things.
yeah,
Yeah.
nobody do that. They
Mm.
don't care. They just run, and they run a lot, and they run 200 and more K per week, and they don't care. And when someone say you need to do weight training to become better, and they start to do weight training, but it's not really weight training, because they go on a step and step down, and it's body weight, and it's not very heavy. And the thing is that the question we have is that if those people, you say, okay, we want to give you like something to become better, and we plan a 30 minutes 2 times a week of weight training. First, you will need to be very gradual to be sure to not be injured during this weight session. And the second thing is that that's great fatigue. So means that
Mm.
probably you will take off some K of running, and you will not running 200K per week, but maybe 180. And is the weight training you will do will be as good that the 20K you were doing? I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Is it
And
worth it? Yeah.
if you take the 1,000 best runners, marathon runners in the world, actually, there is 950 that never do weight training.
Hey guys, I am an endurance coach and I train runners to complete their first trail injury free. Everyday Heroes is the podcast, but it's also a private coaching tailored to you and based on science. For a limited time, I offer you a free call to help you build your training plan. The link is in the description. And now back to the episode. Do you think this could be different with trail running, as there are a lot of uphill and downhill?
I think is it more important to be strong. The question is, are you working your strength by exposing you on hill? Means you go at hill Réunion Island, to give you an example, or Madère. Madère is a beautiful island. And when I was going to Madère, there is some part where there is big step, and you walk on stairs and you go up, and that's a weight training. That's a weight training because you go up and down on stairs and you repeat some. So it's not so heavy, but is really functional. And I think that uh, maybe can be enough. Maybe. Or maybe
Okay.
if you want to really perform, you add some exercise of weight, and it's not just for the running economy, but it's also to become more strong, more tolerant, and you do this a lot in the off season. And when you load all your volume, maybe you will decrease a little bit and do maybe just one times a week to reminder your muscle that you're strong and you can work in many different positions. But it's true that in trail is not always the same movement. You have a lot of more varieties, and you do a lot of step up, step down.
Okay. So in the end, if you have a lot of time on your hand, you can do some weight training. It won't harm you, especially for trail. It could be even more
Yes.
interesting. But
Yes.
in the end, if you don't have as much time, running will do the work. Like, don't trade the time that you can run from weight training if you want to be better, right? Or
Yeah. And the
yeah,
question is that at a certain point, maybe you maximize how much you can run. And you say, okay, if I run more, I will become I'm close to be to in my mechanical stress quantification, I am stick to my red line. So
mm,
I cannot run had running and running, and I will add like core strengthening and other exercise, and that can be interesting. Or you can add bicycling, because you work your physiology, but at the same time is not demanding like running if you're limited to running. So at this point, cross training and weight training can be very interesting when you maximize your running.
okay, got it. And what about mobility and stretching as a way to prevent injuries? Because I see a lot of runners, especially after the run, they do some kind of stretching, sometimes static stretching. What do you think of that?
Um, all the science of stretching are from 2000, maximum 2005, 10. After that, we have nothing. Means that it's not trendy anymore to study stretching. Now we do a lot more studies on the strengthening of the glutes and different muscle and different thing. So science are pretty fragile actually to give you very strong conclusion. But in general, stretching before activities doesn't seems to prevent injuries and doesn't seems to improve performance, and can make the opposite. So we try to not stretch before actually. Stretching at distance or after training can, for some people specifically, be a good thing. Some people are very stiff. Some people develop good, very important stiffness, and it can help some people to feel better, maybe to run faster, especially if you stretch the iliopsoas, the rectus femoris. That's our flexor of the hip, and if you don't have a good mobility of this specific muscle, you will maybe not be able to go fast in your biomechanics. So having a functional, good flexibility, I think, is a good idea. And but if you practice this, it's at distance. In a role of prevention of running injuries, really, really poor data show us that it can be a good idea.
Okay, interesting. And I also read, I never did it myself, and I've never seen it, but apparently it is something that a lot of runners are doing. They take anti-inflammatories, I think, before or after, in order to mask the pain, go through the pain, and probably to get away from injuries. I have read, sorry, a lot of bad stuff about uh, taking those kind of pills. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah. So we need to do two different categories. You have like analgesic, like acetaminophen in North America and paracetamol in France. So I don't know what type of medication you have, but this is just analgesic. Means you don't feel the pain, but there is no anti-inflammatory effect. But you have also the anti-inflammatory class of medication. NSAIDs means ibuprofen, Advil, Motrin, Aleve, naproxen, diclofenac. That's all the class of the type of medication that have an anti-inflammatory effect. We know actually that taking pills before a competition or before a hard training, like you take NSAIDs, increase the risk to have health complication. And sometimes health complication go up to death. We kills 16,000 people in US with NSAID every year. Okay? It's crazy how this medication is under evaluate about the dangerousness of this medication. Stomach bleeding, kidney problem, etc. So it's very not a good. It's very a bad idea. And UTMB prescribe, not prescribe. On proscrit, maybe prescribe. I don't know how you say in English, but
Yeah.
interdiction. You
Yeah,
cannot
forbid.
take
Yeah, yeah.
prohibit NSAIDs for UTMB because they know that it causes a lot of problem. So during competition is a very bad idea. The question is, I just come back from a training and I run 1 hour and my Achilles tendon is a little bit painful. Do I take a pills, NSAIDs, anti-inflammatory pills, right away to be sure that I can continue to train? And at this point is also a very bad idea. Not because it's very dangerous for your health, but because you stop the repair of the tissue. You take an NSAID, and you have like you have a little inflammation that are developing your Achilles tendon. This inflammation is needed to treat the tendon, to repair the tendon. If you inhibit this inflammation, you will create low cell proliferation and low repair. Means that at 3 weeks, you can have a weakness in your tissue up to 40%. And that's true for tendon, ligament, muscle, bone, etc. So if you have like a example, a stress fracture, you take NSAID, you will take a lot more time to repair this stress fracture than if you take nothing. So it's a bad idea to take NSAID. You need to take less and less. There is some exception that we have in medicine where we prescribe in sport medicine NSAID, but we need to stop over medicalization and over medication with runner. That's a real problem actually in sport medicine.
Okay. Very interesting. And thank you for saying this because, yeah, I read that this is like a very, very common practice and this can be actually deadly. So, yeah, we
Yeah.
really want to be careful about it. Last question before I release you. In the end, if we get injured, what can we do?
Okay, so if you have acute injuries like an ankle sprain, I was sprinting and my muscle tear, I have like a specific punctual pain because I have a trauma. The best treatment we need to do is peace and love. This is the acronym to treat an acute injuries. So peace means P for protection, no pain for the next days. E, it's for elevation. A, it's for avoid anti-inflammatory modalities. C is for compression, and E is for education. We do the piece, the 5-letter, the first 3 days, sometime 4, 5, 6 days. Okay, but it's the beginning. After that, we move to the love. Love, it's from the day 3. L is for load. Load means that I start to walk again, I start to move again. but I do a good mechanical stress quantification. I want to be sure that if I have a little bit of pain when I walk, it's not worse after, and I can walk again in 6 hours later. Be sure that I'm not irritate the tissue, even if the pain can be tolerated in some specific case. O for optimism, because we know that people that are optimistic cure a lot faster. V for vascularization. Vascularization means I want to do a cardiovascular activity. I have an ankle sprain. I just want to come back. I am day 3. I go on a bike and I can put my foot in a little chair beside the bike, the stationary bike, but I want to move. I want to activate my circulation. I want to increase my metabolism. I want to be sure that I do all the stuff I can do to accelerate the repair of my tissue. So that's the V for vascularization. And the E of the love, it's exercise. Normalize flexibility because you lost some time. Normalize strength and normalize proprioception stability with proprioceptive exercise. So when you have an acute, you do peace 3 days and love. And when you have overuse injuries, Achilles tendinopathy, shin splint, kneecap problem, when it's overused, it's just because you did too much. You can initially, the first 3 days, still use protection, avoid anti-inflammatory, and rest. But when you move very quickly to the love, because all overuse injuries that are persistent or that are new are treated with love.
Okay, well, very nice way to remember it. I really like it. Okay, Blaise, I think that is enough. I don't want to take too much of your time. So yeah, thank you again for having us. I think there is a latency, at least on my side. I hope it was not, if it's happening, and okay, so there is also. I hope it's not too disturbing. Anyway. So yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you guys for watching the episode. As always, if you liked it, you can subscribe, and you can let me know if there is something you want me to talk about, someone that you want me to interview. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Ciao.